Hey, it's Karl with a K. Let's talk about Hollywood. Welcome to the show. Hi everyone, this is Karl Gibson and welcome to episode 36 of Let's Talk About Hollywood, an audio podcast that's a memoir, niche, Hollywood, real talk. Okay, thank you for being here, all of you. I do appreciate it. And this week we're back to the journals. Thank you everyone who allowed the last episode that I did, which was episode 35, which was about the Disney layoffs in 2026. They just happened a week ago. It's still impacting a lot of people. And having been through a Disney layoff myself, just 2 years earlier, I wanted there to be something that could help those who were looking for something after they got laid off, or so some support or a plan. Because when it first hits, layoffs, as we all know, you don't always have a plan. So I was speaking from experience, and I know it wasn't an episode about the journals, even though this is called Let's Talk About Hollywood, and we talk about Hollywood topics. I really just wanted that to be a standalone that people can find in time. So if you were expecting a journals episode last week and were like, oh man, it's talking about layoffs again, well, that's kind of Hollywood right now. But we're back to the journals, and to that point about what the landscape of Hollywood is right now. It's like the rest of the job market. It's a kind of a hot mess. It really is, and there's consolidation, and there's all kinds of different things that are impacting Hollywood. Are studios going to be open to AI? And you all know I believe in ethical AI. I think it can be used for good, but I don't think that people want to necessarily pay for AI content. That's not anything I've ever worked on. I work on things that human beings have done, from writing and blocking to production and post and everything else. So Hollywood's got a lot on its plate. So thank you for allowing that episode last week, meaning having the patience. So I do appreciate it. Thank you. And I want to give a shout out to all of the countries who have been listening. So thank you to the US. Thank you, Vietnam. Thank you, China. Thank you, Spain. Thank you, France. Thank you, Germany. Thank you, India. Thank you, Kenya. Thank you, United Kingdom. Thank you, Brazil. Thank you, Finland. Thank you, Togo. Thank you, South Africa. Thank you, Serbia. And thank you, Italy. And to everyone else listening in privacy or in transit or keeping the volume low tonight, I see you. Thank you for listening too. This is a donation optional podcast. This podcast runs on donations, so I'll make it super quick. If you'd like to donate to this podcast, you can go to www.letstalkabouthollywood.com/support. That's all you got to do. Or wherever you subscribe to this podcast, so wherever you get your favorite podcasts, in the show notes, which tells you what the description of this episode is about, there are 2 links, and you can donate there. No amount is too small, and it handles 96 currencies in 86 countries, so it's safe, and that's where it is. So thank you if you're able to donate. So let's get into this week's episode. I know I'm not even going to edit out that staggered breath you just heard me take. So we're back to 2002. And if you've been following this podcast, thank you. And you know that where we left off is I've been working at the Hollywood Reporter now for about a year, not officially. I had started in 2001 as a temp, so I'm almost at my year mark. My supervisor is leaving. I've been asked to replace her. Actually, My co-editorial assistant and I were basically told that we would be competing to replace her. And my co-editorial assistant didn't want the job, and I didn't either. So that's where that was leaving off. And more importantly, on the personal side, Stone and I, Stone being my husband at the time, aka Bebbles, that's his nickname, we were ready to move, and we were going to. And so that's where this episode takes place. And it is called Hollywood Heatwave 2002 Labor Day Fight 125 Degrees. Sunday, August 25th, 2002. Working on packing for the move with Stone. We are so ready to move and be out of this apartment. Thinking about actor friendships that have disappeared or that have gone separate ways with me. There are so many. I can think of 4. It's not painful to remember. It seems like a lot of wasted communication. I'm not made for these tortured friendships. Have a good time, and don't compete with me, and don't be a dick. It's very simple. I meet, and will meet, interesting people, and I'm content to see people at events or in passing. That works. I have a partner, and I'm building a home, and I don't have to be seen. I'm not the same actor that I was, or person, in some ways, that any of those friends remember. My personal time is at a premium, and the set isn't any more than that. Let's work and go. I'm interested in concepts and tangible ideas. The newsroom, it's not a set, but the compelling or well-liked things about me that have come across in the newsroom as I work, that works for me. I take the news calls, I know the people, I know the town, and I watch, learn, and earn my propers. Back to work on Tuesday, and I want to stay focused on my faith, creativity, and having less anxiety about things. My supervisor is leaving, and I'll miss her witty, sharp personality. But my assistant partner and I will have more autonomy now. Her replacement will be more of an accountant and less of a managerial presence than she was, I predict. Good luck to the editor in finding an office manager and assistant. An in-house employee turned the job down after meeting with my supervisor and seeing what the job will entail. She said no. I'll be interested to see the buzz about how no one internally at The Hollywood Reporter wants the job. The Hollywood Reporter's editor-in-chief is my boss above my supervisor, and he gets my respect, and he knows my abilities. I don't want to be a reporter, and I don't need to improve my work because I always surpass it, and I'm pretty independent of my boss. I want to keep my eye on Hollywood and do more in my second year. Less newsroom hype and more focus on my goals. It's all good. A great vacation, a solid job to come back to. I worked for it. I'll work for it all. God has it. Tuesday, August 27th, 2002. I'm back at the Hollywood Reporter after a week-long vacation. I got most of my work done that was awaiting my return. After turning down the candidacy to replace my supervisor's role, which will be vacant after her choice of departure, I called to speak to a publishing representative at my company to make it official, and I was told, he can't come to the phone. When my supervisor offered to patch me through to this very same person who said he couldn't take the call, his exact reply was shouted, as overheard by one of my favorite reporters, "You fucking talk to him. You're his supervisor." Unquote. The whole "he's too busy to take the call" excuse was all a ruse to protect my ears from his profane utterings. Ah, Hollywood, land of illusions. It won't be mentioned, I'm sure. I had a seamless, productive day, and the whole town, the ones I talked to, knew that I was back. The newsroom staff was glad to see me, and that was nice. I just set my mind to do my job, not rush, and it all went well, except I forgot how nice it was being at home, clueless about the news and how other countries want to nuke us and shit like that. Wednesday, August 28th, 2002. It's been a 3-ring circus in the newsroom today, with corporate wreaking havoc on the reporters. The assistant to the editor position that me and my co-editorial assistant turned down will be a revolving door, for sure. No one is going to be able to handle all that goes with it, even if they master the millions of dollars, literally, in accounting work. My assistant partner and I were joking that this vacant role will be like the sitcom Murphy Brown, where no one is good enough. Stone is doing fine. His supervisor at the medical firm was warned by a department head with a write-up for forwarding Stone 75 case files before 9 a.m. The department head told Stone that he thinks this was because Stone has photos of me on his desk, and the supervisor was hating. The supervisor ended up having to take all 75 case files back. Monday, September 2nd, 2002. It's Labor Day, and I'm at work. I've spent 2 hours on my accounting duties, which is ridiculous. I'm doing a job that is an entirely other job, and it's an unfilled position, since the woman who was working in international payroll quit in disgust. I really hope management sees the need to compensate me for this, because it's a complete job in itself. I'm good at accounting math, so I'm doing well in that I don't overpay people or fuck up. I just feel bad when there are pressing matters here in the newsroom, especially amongst management, and it delays these people's checks. Luckily, I'm not the one they email with their rage-filled keystrokes. I just write out the check requests and get it to payroll. It has been a weekend of extremes. We moved. Saturday night was when me and Bebbles got moved into the new apartment. I worked until 6 a.m., unpacking the music, DVDs, and media. I packed and refigured the closet where there was ample space for the boxes of books and all kinds of stuff. I was jazzed since I knew Stone would wake up and feel like Christmas, seeing that our new apartment didn't look like a warehouse anymore. We have no Freon in the central AC unit, and we're in a heat wave. Technicians from the Department of Water and Power can't refill it for at least another week, so it's nausea-inducing heat, but sleep from exhaustion helps. I woke up Sunday. LA was still in a full-fledged heat wave. It was 105 degrees outside and about 125 degrees on the heat index on the top floor where our apartment is. I was so sour-faced and depressed by the heat. Stone had run an errand and I was sitting here feeling like the hot air could choke me at any time. It was like peak daytime Las Vegas and oppressive. It really messes with your mind. The great thing was that Stone finished unpacking earlier, so the place is all but box-free except for a few boxes in the dining room. Stone walked in with a spice rack and a tall oscillating fan for $70. I was thrilled to see the fan. Stone also bought stuff to make daiquiris, and he was very cheerful. I was still heat mental and took a cold bath that made all the pain go away. It was great. I stepped out of the tub and had a drink with Stone without even putting on any clothes at 2 p.m. We went down to the pool and swam and had fun drinking frozen daiquiris in the pool from plastic tumblers, and I caught him up on all the Hollywood stories I'd been meaning to tell him. That was a lot of fun, and we decided to swim some more and enjoy the therapeutic effect. We came in later, and Stone took a shower to get the chlorine off, and I took a bath, even though I didn't need one. I'd sleep in that tub. It's been 6 years since I had a tub, but now we have a shower and a tub side by side. The luxury. We were cooling off and saying how our new apartment feels like Las Vegas, except we don't have to check out. I really wanted to cook an elaborate meal, one I could fix on the stove that would take about 15 minutes. The recipe is from a best of the Pillsbury Bake-Off called California Casserole. It's basically pre-sauteed cubed meat, sauteed onions and mushrooms, 2 cans of a cream of soup, and you put it all in a lasagna pan, and you place raw biscuit dough rolled in buttered breadcrumbs on the top, and bake until done. It took some time since I used 2 pounds of steak. Stone sat by me in the kitchen on a love seat, and we were talking, chilling, listening to music, taking puff breaks. Stone got upset about a lingering fuck-over from our last apartment, where he went to get kitchen supplies that we'd forgotten, and he came back in, angry. I understood. We both were upset about some of the logistics that were delayed to keep us paying for it, and I let Stone vent about it while I cooked. Stone grabbed a photo album of his and started looking through it. which was hard on him since most of the people in it are either dead, on drugs, or lost to the world. He was looking at the pages and said, "I don't have any friends." It was so sad, the quiet yet real way that he said it. I went over and I hugged him and I told Stone he always had me. Stone loves my mom, he loves my sister, and he and my best friend Nigel get on famously. But his friends, before I entered his life, really are all gone. His parents, 2 of his siblings lost to tragic outcomes, the children in happier days. Stone finally closed the photo album and put it down, saying he didn't want to be sad and cry, that it's too hard to look through the whole thing. My heart hurt for him, because I can't imagine a photo album where 89% of the people in it are lost forever. We relaxed and Stone's mood got to where he was enjoying himself. I was getting tired from the cooking and the heat from the oven. I was so drained from the 130-degree apartment, and the cooking made it worse, but I wanted to cook. This was my little treat for us, since I never cooked in the old apartment. Stone cooked everything for us for the last 2 years. He's a great cook, but so am I. Stone was pouring me ice water and holding it up to my mouth while I chopped steak. It was sweet, and I was reveling in his attention, because he had been so overwhelmed the previous day when we were moving, and somewhat snappish. Meanwhile, we hadn't heard from Nigel, my best friend, in days and days. I had left him a message with our new home phone number and never heard from him, so Stone and I started to worry. I had some fear and anxiety about it, hoping that Nigel didn't go on a date or an encounter gone wrong. I called Nigel for the umpteenth time. Stone spoke to him too, and we asked him to just call and let us know he was okay. Stone stepped away from me at the stove and called to leave yet another message for Nigel. I asked him not to. I said we've left enough messages, and if Nigel is feeling pissy or in need of attention, it's just going to backfire. He'll call us and he'll feign surprise. "Y'all were so worried about me." It's harmless, but Nigel will run it into the ground for a week or 2. He's anal that way when he's feeling prickly. I'm hoping he was just working late and forgot. Sure enough, Stone picks up the phone a half hour later and I hear him emphatically command, "Nigel, if we do not hear from you by tomorrow, then I'm going to send the police to your house." I told Stone to hit the star key and cancel the message. He did not. For whatever reason, I got angry with Stone for leaving another voicemail for Nigel. In hindsight, I was irrational in being so irritated by it, but my thoughts in real time were, this is the first 5 hours that we've had of downtime together in ages, where we are not stressed and where we aren't fussing, and now I'm going to hear Nigel saying, "No, Bebbles didn't say he'd call the police," for the next week and a half, loving it all the while. It wasn't jealousy. It's just that I'd asked Stone not to, and it's Karl time. It's true. I was the one who was unpacking and taking the little snappy remarks in stride and cleaning up our old place while Stone worked magic in the new apartment. I scheduled the movers and everything, tipped them, sent them off with 6 packs of Heineken. Now I want that sugar for myself. Nigel will call in time. Stone didn't understand why I was pissed, and before you know it, voices were raised and I slammed a door. Stone asked me if I was on crack, which is funny now, but was not at the time. We started arguing, and it's hot, and sweat is running into my eyes, and I said I'd sleep on the couch. Stone told me I was tripping, and before I know it, I have said some stuff I should not have said, and the argument got worse. It wasn't anything horrible, but I used some adjectives on him that aren't true, but felt appropriate for the level of yelling that we were doing. I felt like I had put up with Stone's overwhelmed impatience for a good while up until today, and now, mere hours after a wonderful day, we're hollering at each other. Stone got dressed, left the house, went to a payphone and called me to say that he was leaving me, us, and our new place, for good in the morning, quote, "Since that's what you want and what you told me to do." This is not true, and I did not, but at this point I said, "Fine." My mom called and was so happy for us, not knowing what had devolved. "Are you guys okay?" she asked. "No," I said. "Stone is leaving me. I'm about to have heat stroke, and I don't care." Mom said, "Karl, that's your heart. Don't say you don't care. Stone is not leaving you." I was over it, but Mom gave me a talking to and then said, "Put Stone on the phone, please." He was back by this point. My mom talked to Stone and told us to take our separate corners and keep hydrated and not to argue anymore. She was very nice and very calm, and I appreciated the sanity, as we had none at that time. I finished cooking at some obscene hour, did dishes. Stone fell asleep, and I made sure to go to our bed and sleep so Stone would know that I didn't sleep on the couch. It was terrible. We haven't argued like that in years. I thought long and hard through the sweat-soaked night, because it was still 100 degrees in the apartment, and decided that just as I am committed to not rushing in life, I should also not rush to say the first thing that comes to my mind when I'm angry. I don't make cheap shots, but I know that I have a sharp tongue. Stone has the booming voice, but I was nauseous that we'd even put each other through that noise. I also thought it was an explosion of tension, however misdirected, because now at least no one could hear us and use it against us, like in the old apartment. Nigel ultimately did call, and he was thanking us for worrying and jokingly told Stone, "You're a bossy thing. You better leave me alone, Bebbles," and said he had left a message on our old number, despite my easy-to-follow change of service message. I had to play the message for Stone, since by now Stone had no interest in following up with Nigel. He was relieved, though. I woke up this morning, having slept 3 or 4 hours, took a bath, and showered, and I made a point of going to Stone, who looked like a peaceful, handsome lover, and woke him from his sleep to kiss him and apologize. I told him I was sorry and asked if we could start over and go swimming when I get home from work. Stone kissed me and said he was sorry too, and I said that I didn't want to fight like that ever again. Stone said some nice things to me yesterday prior to all this. One of them was, he said, "If you were in heaven and I was not, then I'd fight my way out of hell to be with you on the other side," and stressed that that wasn't said morbidly. I know Stone loves me. Two big temperaments can be very tricky when you start reacting to each other's comments. I really will try not to hurt Stone's feelings in the future. The concern and the emphatic everything about him is part of who he is, and Stone is a loving person who would never hurt me, physically or in anger. It's so good to be out of that other apartment, and we've worked so hard. These are the things we need to remember, and we will. I'll go home today from the newsroom, and we'll get in the pool, and I'll carry Stone around on my lap and kiss him to pieces. We bring out the best in each other when we're not suffering heat psychosis. So, we apologized to each other, and I called my mom so she'd know we were fine. I wasn't worried about Stone leaving me. He would never. I love Stone spoiled rotten, and he knows it. All right, everybody, that is the episode. That's the journal for this week. And now comes the recap. Well, this is an episode that I knew was coming up and has been one, not that I've been dreading, but that I knew was going to be bittersweet, because this apartment that Stone and I moved into, this was in 2002. I was 31, about to be 32. Stone was 37. That apartment is one that I stayed in for 23 years. I just moved out to relocate as of last December on New Year's Eve. And it would be an apartment that Stone and I would live in together until his death in 2005. And of course, there was no way to know that that would happen. And when I was moving out on New Year's Eve, but in the process of moving. So when I was moving out of that apartment in LA that I'm discussing in this episode in 2025, when I was preparing to leave, as I was donating things and giving things away, and the apartment was getting emptier and emptier, which you can imagine if you've been in an apartment for 23 years, seeing it kind of down to its skeleton, so to speak. It just reminded me of a lost dream. And, I lived in that apartment for 17 years after he died, but it became so clear to me, which I've mentioned before in other episodes, about my move recently in 2026 to Tampa, Florida. All I could think was, I felt like I could feel Stone saying, you don't have to do this anymore. You don't have to maintain this anymore, because it was a dream of a younger couple. Not that youth has anything to do with it, but meaning just, you haven't been through grieving. You haven't been through being a widower. You haven't been through all of the things that happen and have to be dealt with friends and family, and that mourning process, and everyone doesn't mourn the same. And there were many, many ways that apartment that we moved into were great. I can honestly say, I think, like most people, I'm just saying, if you've had a turn in the last 5 years, was during COVID, because all of us basically had to stay in our house, or some of us couldn't, and you had to work anyway. And so I'd say those years were really rough, but there were many, many other great times in that apartment, not just the 3 years that Bebbles and I are going to have, but also, my sister moved to California. My mom moved to California at different times. There were plenty of good memories there. So, just, going over these journals, as you all know, I'm kind of looking at them in real time. I don't read them, regularly. So just kind of how we moved in with that big blowout in the heat, and then settling into what we thought was our dream, is moving and difficult, but something that I'm also very, very grateful for. And, there's many, many seasons of this podcast that will take place there, good and bad. And so I dreamt about it last night. I dreamt about the old apartment that we were moving out of, which was my apartment. That's where I had met him 2 years earlier. Well, I met him, of course, in Hollywood. And then when we were dating, it was in my old apartment. And we just wanted to have our own apartment, a new, fresh start. And we got it. And so in hindsight, of course, you don't know what's always going to happen. But we did have love. And I think that's the way that you get through it, whatever your intention is. And I don't mean that in a new age, woo, kind of way. I just, honestly, if your intention when you move in is, this is going to work and this is ours, then that's what you do. And that's what we did. So yeah, it's nice to remember that. And what my mom said about separate corners, I never forgot it, because what she was saying is, don't leave each other, because couples, you can have arguments, and a lot of times, of course, it's tempting for someone to leave or to run out of the apartment or run out of the house and sulk or whatever. But it's almost like, it's not almost, it's stay just in separate corners. It shows trust. It shows that, okay, we can't see eye to eye. We can't agree right now. We're angry, whatever, but we're not leaving our environment. So yeah, you're not in the same room, but you know that someone is there, and it's a maturity thing. To me, it felt like that to me. It felt, and ever since, like, okay, at least I'm here. Because if you're leaving, then things are on the rocks. If you at least are in separate corners in the same place. It shows some commitment, and it just gives you both time for that disagreement or that friction to settle down. And so I have never forgotten separate corners. I think that works. And the comment that he made where he said, if I was in heaven and he wasn't, and that he'd fight his way out of hell to be with me on the other side, was so English patient, so sexy. I remember thinking, like, wow, that's beautiful. And it still is. It touched me to see that. So that is this week's episode. Bebbles and I have finally moved in to our dream apartment in 2002. I'm at the Hollywood Reporter, and there's a whole lot more to come. So come back next week. We'll have more to talk about. And I thank you for being here. I thank you for listening. I thank you for making me a part of your routine, a part of your day, a part of your evening. And my heart is full and goes out to you. Thank you so much for being here. And until next time, as always, love is real, and I wish you all great things. I'll see you next time.